Hey everyone, so this tutorial is actually my third Halloween tutorial up on my Halloween series, and as you can see, I am supposed to be a vampire, or like a dying vampire thing. So this is gonna be a two-part video. At first you're gonna see me doing a normal vampire, like a normal, sexy, modern vampire, and then in the second part of this tutorial, you're gonna see me turn myself into like a dying, sort of like burned vampire, like someone threw holy water at my face and I just started like burning and all that stuff. I do use expensive products during this video, so I use my Skin Illustrator effects palette for the burn, so I will have sort of like an alternative because obviously not a lot of people are gonna have this palette, so I will list a couple of alternatives down below in case you're trying to, in case you want to like recreate this makeup look. So yep. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and if you do, please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, if you want to follow me on any other social media, the link will be down below, as well as the list of products I used in this video. So I really hope to see you next time, and bye! So the first thing I did was to apply a moisturizer and just let that sink in my skin for a couple of minutes since we're going to be working with pretty heavy makeup. And then I took a foundation that was just a few shades lighter than my natural skin tone and just painted that all over my face, and I even took a sponge to make sure that everything was just smoothed out and covered. And then I took a mix of Mayron Clown White mixed with Graftobian Cream Makeups in yellow and green to make sure that I had like a really dead skin tone, and I just applied this all over the highlighted areas of my face. So the top of the cheekbones, the bridge of the nose, the forehead, the chin, and then I took a damp beauty blender and blended all of that out. In order to contour, I'm using a dark brown eyeshadow, and I'm doing an upside down L shape to make my cheekbone look manly yet a lot more prominent. And then I took a buffing brush and just buffed that all out. And then I moved on to contouring the rest of my face, like the temples, the perimeter of my forehead to make myself look more gaunt and skinny. I even used a gray eyeshadow to add more of those dead colors to my skin. And then I moved on to making the eye sockets of my eyes look more hollowed out. So I used a light brown first, and then I used a gray to a black in order to make my eyes look more sunken in and hollow. And then I moved on to making my nose look a lot thinner. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm taking the white cream makeup from Mayron, and I'm gonna make my nose look sharp. And basically how you do this is that you first add a highlight to the tip of your nose, and then you take the eyeshadow you used to contour the nose, and you're gonna create sort of a V shape right in the tip of the nose, and then again with the highlight you're going to accentuate that V shape again, and that's gonna create the effect that your nose is a lot pointier. I blanked out my lips and I applied a purple cream makeup on top of them, and then I pursed my lips together and applied a foundation on top of them, and once I released them, it created the effect that my lips are cracked and dead and sickly looking. Then I moved on to highlighting and contouring the rest of my facial features and the ears and neck. Moving on to the eyes, I used a pink cream liner and applied this on my bottom lid, and I blended that out, and then I took a red eyeliner and applied this on my waterline, and that makes my eyes look sicker and a lot more irritated. To make my brows on fleek, I used a dark brown eyeshadow on an angled brush, and then I used an eyebrow spoolie and combed through my eyebrows to fill them in and make them thicker. And with a light brown eyeshadow, I just created these forehead wrinkles to make myself look like I'm angry. And with a dark brown eyeshadow, I accentuated my jawline and the bags underneath my eyes. And for my favorite part of the whole entire look, the veins. What I did was that I took the blue and bruistone from the Skin Illustrator effects palette, and I mixed them together to create sort of a purpley bluish kind of color. And then what I did was that I took a fine detail brush and I set my brush at a certain point and did these wiggly lines spreading outwards towards my face and towards different directions on my body. Keep in mind that certain areas of the veins will be more opaque, and once they start branching out, they'll get a lot thinner and translucent. And with my beauty blender, I just dabbed whatever was left over on top to make the veins look like they're underneath the skin. Before creating the burn, I did apply a mesh lens right where I was going to do the burn. And I'm taking a little bit of liquid latex and applying it to my lid, and then I'm taking a piece of paper, applying it to the liquid latex, and then taking some more liquid latex and sticking down that piece of paper on my cheek, and that's gonna pull my lid down.
And at the same time, I'm doing the same thing to my lip. I wanted the area to look a little bit deformed, so that's why I wanted to have a droopy eye and make my lip look like it's also drooping down. For the burn, I'm using FX gelatin, which you can usually find at an online makeup store, or you can make it yourself. I actually made mine myself using glycerin, gelatin, and a little bit of water. And what I'm doing is I'm sticking this down onto my face, and I'm creating the burned, blistery, deformed skin. And what I'm doing is, once the gelatin was sort of like semi-dry but was still like droopy and wet, I'm just sticking it to itself, creating the deformed melted skin. And once the gelatin was fully dry, I started creating and ripping some holes to make it look like I had blisters that had popped in there, and it looks gross and disgusting. And after that, I'm taking a little bit of liquid latex and applying it on the edges of the burned skin so that the edges of the gelatin would blend a little bit better into my skin. And with the gelatin, I created the effect that my ear was also melted down under my face and neck, and then I continued the same gelatin process on my neck. Once the latex was dried, I just took my spatula and started ripping and poking holes at the latex to again create that blistery popped skin. With some translucent powder, I'm patting this on top of the gelatin so that the makeup would adhere better. And then I took the exact same foundation I used on the face and applied this on top of the gelatin. And once again, with a sponge and a little bit of powder, I'm just powdering everything. Then I took the blood tone color from the Skin Illustrator Effects palette and I started applying this where the open blisters and big open areas of the burn are, to create the illusion that the skin is ripped open and it's revealing flesh, like the inner flesh, and there's blood oozing out of there and it looks gross. And after that, I'm repeating the exact same steps using the old age blood tone, but I'm only doing this on the edges to make some of those blisters look like they're deeper and older. Also, I should mention that this palette is activated with 99% isopropyl alcohol. After that, I took the blood tone color on a textured sponge and I started applying this all over the burned side of my face, neck, and the ears to add those irritated burnt colors, and I'm doing the exact same thing using the old age blood tone. With the black from the Skin Illustrator Effects palette, I started dabbing this on random areas of the burn because we wanted the burn look like it's charred and like there are just pieces that are a little bit more burnt than others. And I noticed in my eye was losing a bit of the color, so I just applied black on my eye as well as an eyeshadow, not the actual Illustrator palette, because you know that would be stupid. And then I took the exact same eyeshadow and made those areas look a lot more charred and defined a lot of the areas in the burn to make them pop a little bit more. And with the black from the Skin Illustrator Effects palette, I did the exact same thing to a lot of those areas I wanted more defined. And in this part, I did do some veins coming out from the burn, but I didn't like them that much, so I took the Beauty Blender and just like dabbed that out. But I did do some veins coming out of my lips, and those I liked, so those I kept. And it makes it look like I'm dying, like, you know, something's wrong with me, you know, other than the burn. So yeah, I kept that. And then I thinned down a lot of the black paint from the Skin Illustrator palette, and I flicked this on my skin. And this is gonna add a lot more charredness, and it's gonna darken up the look a little bit more. And then I took some FX blood that I got from a Halloween store and I applied this on the open blisters, and then with a piece of tissue paper I just dabbed the blood out, and that spread the blood throughout the burn, and it made it look juicier and fresher and wetter, and it made it look a lot more realistic. And after these final steps, you are basically done.